Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm here with Tony Scelzo, a good friend of mine here in Indianapolis. So I'm going to introduce you to him, and then we're going to talk a little bit about his experience with coaching. Tony is the founder and chief visionary officer. I just made that up.
No, that's cool.
The chief visionary officer for Rainmakers. You still call it Rainmakers Marketing Group, right?
Yeah, we do.
Rainmakers Marketing Group here in Indianapolis, and now beyond Dayton, Cincinnati, Louisville,
Evansville,
yep. and beyond. But so. Just talk about Rainmakers. I mean, I can talk about it, but you're the man. So talk about what it is.
We start as a drinking group with a networking problem. I'm sure you've heard that
joke before. I have heard that joke before.
And what we've really evolved into is a business development system. We have 24 different models. We train our members on how to use these models to grow their business using primarily strategic networking.
And you say that we train them, and you do, and you have formal things that look more like training sessions. But
sure.
I would say a lot of it really is about coaching.
It
may not be formal coaching, big C coaching, but it's really that one-on-one mentoring coaching. Talk a little bit more about that.
Coaching is not a word that we try to hide from. I mean, it's really about telling people what they know they should be doing, and getting them to a feeling space where they're willing to do that work. And we a lot of times we say simple, not easy.
So, which is very true, certainly.
Yeah.
Tell us about how your members, or our members, the members, I'm one of them, are in a whole range of areas. But tell us a little bit about the kinds of people they are in terms of the kinds of businesses that they're in.
We really have three different kinds of members. There's what we call a Dan Lacey. Dan has got multiple different businesses. He's got a consulting business. He's got a real estate business. He's got a radio station. He's using our members to not only use the services, but he uses our model to grow his business. So he's kind of using it on both sides. There's Kyle Lacey, which is his son, that has really gone from an incubating a business from scratch to now fully implementing the business model that is Rainmakers to grow to $50,000 in sales a month. And different generation, different way he's using it, different application of the model. And then there's Mike Finnegan, who was the chief rainmaker for his organization, took on the role of vice president, $25 million company, if I had a gun to my head to guess. And he uses the organization for his salespeople, for his own power circle. So we keep a member from about zero to maybe pushing $1 million in revenue, and then they start sending their chief rainmaker, and they start working the model that way.
So the reason that I asked that question, other than for just people all over that are on this to know a little bit more about Rainmakers, is to get at the point of you've got different kinds of folks, you've got different generations of folks.
Diversity.
How have they come to accept, if you will, or how have they embraced the different types of coaching that you guys offer?
All different ways. You've got the guys that will resist for 18 months to a year, and then kind of come in with hat in hand and say, look, I really need some help. I don't know what I'm doing. You've got the ones that just jump in full bore and say, how do I get strategically involved? I want to roll. I've seen it grow other people's business. Tell me what I need to do. You've got the people that'll toe in water for a while and then kind of get to the next level. You get people, quite honestly, Kevin, that will quit and then come back. And realizing they didn't know what they needed to know. So it's all different range.
Well, the thing I like about, not necessarily that I like, but I think it's an important lesson for all of us about that last group is that sometimes people left and never really tried it.
Yeah.
And then when they come back, they're really ready. And
Sure.
I think for all of us, when we think about coaching, whether it's with people that work for us or whatever, there's a readiness factor that has to be there.
Yeah, we say that you can join and still not be a member. Just because you're paid your dues, it doesn't mean you're actively participating and helping other people grow their business. And if you're not doing that, you're really not a member.
So we're talking a little bit about your model and about how that all works, but tell me about who your coaches are. Who are some of the people that have been coaches to you along the way and today?
Well, there's you, of course, that have repeatedly asked, am I doing this right? What do you think? And have never probably got an answer that I like.
Well, come on, sometimes.
Well, sometimes. Because it was honest and it was stuff that I needed. It wasn't stuff that I had heard of or thought of before. And I think that's one of the things coaches do is maybe leave a rock in your gut every once in a while. Tim Roberts has been a great influence, a mentor for me, sponsoring in Rainmakers, and really from a selling paradigm on how to talk to people about what is our value proposition, what does it mean, what are we trying to do. Dan Lacey has been my business coach. I mean, we would not be here if it wasn't for him helping us design our financial model. To now Matt Griffith, who's my business lawyer and my business coach, really pushing me to go to a whole nother level. He's the first person that's ever told me we weren't growing fast enough. And you know, out of 8 years of doing this, that was the first time I've ever heard that. You know, and I was like, okay, there's something I haven't heard before. I need to figure out how to utilize that input in my business.
So you just answered part of my next question, and I think a question all of us need to think about is, so what are some of the things you've learned from your coaches? You certainly just said that with Matt. What are a couple other key lessons perhaps that you've learned?
Really to do what I know I need to do now rather than prolonging, everybody's agony, For me, historically, I've not been somebody that liked to be the bearer of bad news. And if I needed to move someone into a new role, or I needed to move somebody out of a role, or I needed to make a tough decision that I knew wasn't going to be popular, I avoided them. So my coaches have always provided that for me and forced, to make that decision, to move through it and talk me through what is that transition going to look like and how do you deal with it.
Whether those coaches were ones you're paying or whether they're not, is having those people in your life that can speak the truth, and that's a phrase that I've heard you use lots of times.
I think of my life as about $10,000 30-second conversations, and all of the $10,000 30-second conversations I've had over the last 8 years, and how much I've just taken a nugget from here and there to really advance myself from being a bartender who started this thing to running almost $1 million business. And it's the CDs, but it's in the books on tape and all that, but it's getting somebody who can personally have an effect on you to push you through that next level and get you to make that change today, because we all bleed to death every day.
There you go. So I want to switch before we finish and talk a little bit about your role as a coach, because you talked about the coaching that happens at Rainmakers, and that's not just you, obviously it's members and it's other people on your team, but you also have a coaching business that's connected but not the same as.
Yeah.
So what are a couple lessons, all of us that are watching this are coaches and aspire to be better coaches, what are a couple things that pieces of advice you'd give to us to be better coaches?
Outsource your accountability. Never trust your accountability to yourself. It's impossible to be objective about yourself, to be objective about what you're doing and whether or not it's the right thing at the right time. I think that's so important. And I think, you're talking about Expedition and our coaching model. One of the things that's so powerful is that we're providing 5 people to give you a feedback loop upon what you're doing, and we're breaking your business down into 2-week increments. So we're giving you homework that you really can focus in a short increment of time and saying you either got it done or you didn't get it done. And that's really what I mean is that small businesses every day I just see bleed to death. They don't make the decisions, and they don't do the things every day that they need to advance it.
So flipping that around, what the key lesson for us as coaches is hold people accountable, help people be accountable, and that's really one of the big values that we bring.
Sure. Again,
whether we're an external coach, whether it's formal or informal, whether it's our employees, it's that whole idea of how do we help them, how do we hold them accountable?
It's huge. I mean, you can do everything else wrong as a coach and get accountability right, because most people know what they need to do. And if you just get them to take that leap and to keep moving and taking action, then the impact in their lives can be really pretty incredible.
Well, Tony, I know that you weren't able to, and everybody knows this is not live based on what I'm wearing, if nothing else.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm so glad that we were able to make this happen, and we so appreciate we as the Kevin Eikenberry Group appreciate our relationship with you and with Rainmakers, and thanks for stopping by.
It's a great partnership. I appreciate it. Thanks.